Hey guys, Coach Lou here. I am reposting this video because I posted a video on how best to track your progress last week or the week before possibly it was, and realised after it had posted that I had no sound. So hopefully there will be some sound on this one today. This is just a short video, but it's really just to give you some tips if you're training and how best to track your progress, because that's really important, how we track our progress, how we know what we're changing, how we know we're moving forward. So first things first, get yourself a workout diary. So this is my one. It's got me and Lawson on it. And what I do with that is every workout I do, I track in that book, whether it's weight-based training or not. So when I'm training on my weights, I track all of those weights, how many sets I've done, how many reps I've done, if it's time under tension, what that was. And if I've done any HIIT or any steady state cardio at the end, exactly what I did. Even when I'm doing my ab training, I add that in as well, my core training. It's really important to do that because, especially when you're weight training, because you need to gauge if you're pushing your weights up enough, you need to gauge if you're improving. You can look through it and think, actually my body's not changing very much, but I haven't been doing much of this, I've not been doing enough of that, my weights are too light, I've not pushed these weights up in a while. And you can see that as a great way of just checking in on your progress. Also, it's an amazing thing to look back at when you do start to achieve. And I did a video on this a while back. I finished my first book, I think it was maybe just before July, they're just coming into July, and that was my first major part of my transformation from getting back into the fitness industry and getting back into coaching. And I remember getting to a few pages near the end of the book and thinking, wow, this is actually like a book of achievement. So it's a feel-good factor from that point of view as well, and it was good for me to look back and think, wow, I was only lifting this when I came back, on the days when I was crying because I couldn't do things, and look at me now and how far I've came. And it was a really good gauge for me, and it was really good for me to think, right, do you know what, I'm going to start setting bigger goals. So make sure you do that, it is really important. And like I say, when you are weight training, probably even more important, because you don't want to come back in the next week and be like, don't actually know what I've done, and you might lift less without even knowing it and waste your sets. So it's a really one thing that you can do. Something else you can do, the photos. The camera never lies. Yeah, sometimes we take photos and we think, oh my god. Photos are a great way to track your progress. Usually, I know with my ladies, I get them in their undies to do it, because you can see your whole body. The camera doesn't lie. Yeah, it might make you feel like utter crap in the beginning, but it's going to motivate you to make sure that the next time you take that photo, your body looks better. And you can see changes that maybe you can't see with your clothes on. You can see, areas tucking and tightening, and areas that you need to get rid of. It really is a fantastic tool, and I'm totally pro that. I do it all the time, even with your clothes on. So I've talked about this in a few videos, that the tail end of last year, I just was not enjoying when we had to go out. I was like, God, here I am, Lawson's now 3.5, I'm still not back in shape, I'm not happy enough to get back in shape. And I remember, I've spoke about this before, about being on a Christmas night out and being miserable despite the fact everyone said how great I looked. Now, I buy a new dress every time I go out, and it's great to take pictures and see, wow, look at the difference every time I take a picture, and to feel good again. So you don't always need to do them naked. Track your progress, track yourself in normal clothes, track yourself in your undies so you can see exactly what's happening with your body. I can't rate photos enough, and I know it's one of the toughest things to do because we don't necessarily like what we see, but sometimes you've just got to take a step and do something that you don't like to move forward. And I didn't like taking my pictures in the beginning. Even now, I'm probably more self-critical right now. I'm just watching the camera behind me and I can see someone's coming in. I'm probably more self-critical now than I even was then, because now I'm in shape and I've got an even bigger focus in mind. So although, I know that I look great, it's not great enough for where I want to be just yet. So there's always that balance, but those photos are there. Sorry guys, those photos are there to guide me forward, and they also don't lie. So I'll know if I feel I haven't seen much change that month, that okay, do I need to change my training plan? Do I need to add more of this in my diet or less of that? So for example, I've got my next shoot at the end of November, so I've stepped up big time in the last month, and I had no cheats at all. I had a couple of glasses of Prosecco on a Saturday night, but other than that I had no cheat food at all until the weekend there for my mother-in-law's 60th, and it reminds me of why I don't normally drink, because I still feel a bit rough today. But I went out and I had that guilt-free because I worked so hard the rest of the week. So that's one option. Measuring yourself's another option. I always say maybe not always measure yourself alone, because sometimes things go up and down, you've maybe got a bit of water retention, but I highly recommend measuring your body. Measure everything. Ladies, measure your chest. Sometimes coaches don't get you to measure your chest, but I get ladies to do that because, you know, at the end of the day, fat and water in these, and they're going to go down. And I know that some women find that a bit disheartening because we like to have them, but the way I always put it is, what would you rather? Big boobs and an out of shape body, or, you know, let them go down a bit and actually start enjoying the rest of your body? Yeah? But yeah, measuring your body is another great example. Scales, depends where you are. What I always say is it's about having a good relationship with scales. I find a lot of women in particular don't have a good relationship with scales, and they completely freak out every time they stand on them. What we need to remember is our body's made up of 3 elements. It's made of body fat, water and muscle. So when you stand in the scales and they go up or down, you're never really sure of what you're getting. It's kind of like a lucky dip. So for example, I just did a video on CV. You might have just did an hour CV class. You stand on the scales, you're going to have gone down. If you've drank a lot of water, you're going to go up maybe slightly. If you've not drank enough water and your body's dehydrated, you're going to go down slightly as well. So you never exactly know which one of those elements is going up or down. Don't get me wrong, if it goes up a whole stone, maybe then you need to look at it. But generally, if you are eating clean and you're exercising properly, you really don't need to freak out about the scales. I couldn't really tell you exactly what I've lost in body fat over the past 7 months since I got back in coaching, because the scales are irrelevant to me. I take my pictures, I do my measurements, and I can see and feel. However, it doesn't bother me to stand on them. So that's a good way of looking at it. It's okay to stand on the scales if you've got a good relationship and you understand the process. However, if you've not, get off them. If you've got a lot of body fat to lose, so if you're probably quite severely overweight, sometimes yeah, because you probably will lose body fat at a faster rate. So then it might be okay to stand on them then. But again, if you've not got a good relationship, because people then start freaking out about putting a couple of pounds on or losing a couple of pounds, and it's completely irrelevant. So next time you stand on the scales and you think, oh, I've put a pound on, remember it's not necessarily a pound of fat. If you're eating clean, it's not a pound of fat you've put on, it's probably just you've drunk a lot of water that day and your body's slightly heavier. It's the same thing with scales about weighing yourself in the morning and at night. You're always going to weigh different, because by the end of the day, you've eaten food, you've done whatever, whereas in the morning, you know, your stomach's empty, you've probably been to the bathroom, everything's out of the body, so you're lighter. Also, if you are going to use scales, make sure you do it on the same set of scales at the same time, wearing roughly the same stuff every month. So if you wear shoes, make sure you've got those same ones on every month. But like I say, it's not my favourite way of tracking progress, just for the fact that it's not really the most accurate. It's pretty primitive and old school, to be blatantly honest. Photographs are the way to go, and taking your measurements are the way to go. Just make sure you note them down every month and you know where you're going. But as I say, my favourite thing is photographs. So not because I like looking at myself, but because it's where you can see the change and it doesn't lie. And I know what it feels like. I really hated my triceps. I really hated the back of me. I felt like when I was starting to change, the front looked great and the back still looked like I fainted. Whereas I've just recently my husband put the photos up, but said it was me. But I've just recently put photos up showing the difference in my bottom, and it doesn't bother me now, because I feel like it does look good and I've worked hard for that. So I've been through that process. So, you know, if you're thinking, oh, I don't want to look at myself, I've been through that process, and I've been through looking at those photos and thinking, you know, holy crap, this is never going to go away, I'm never going to look good again. You can, and trust me, it's a really good motivator. If it's putting you in a really depressed state, you need to really think about this and look at the fact of, why are you using that to hold yourself back? Because that often happens. I have ladies who just completely freak out and won't do it. And I'm like, well, why are you holding yourself back? Because yeah, it's horrible to look at, in your opinion. I might not think that. Yeah, it might be horrible in your opinion to look at, but why are you not doing that so that in a couple of weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, when you take photos again and you can see that dramatic difference and it's going to make you feel better, why are you not willing to do that? So ask yourself that. It's like some of the girls I make train in front of the mirror, and they didn't really like it in the beginning, and I was saying, well, it's going to help your technique, it's going to help your progress, and I said to them all, if you can't look in the mirror and you're not willing to change, you need to look at yourself and think, why am I doing that? So this was only going to be a short video, oops, once I get talking. So hopefully this has been enough information. It's just to help you along the way, because like I say, set yourself some goals. That's a different video altogether. Set yourself some goals and track them. So track your exercise, track your weights. I usually talk about tracking weights because anyone who's working with me, that's what you're doing. So track all your workouts. Get yourself a book. What I actually do, I'm going to even be more specific. I like to track my progress in 12-week cycles. And what I tend to do is I'll put, so for example, I'll put week 1, block 2. So maybe I'm on my third 12 week or something. And I put the workout, what the workout is. So it might be my leg training, and write it all down. And then if I've done CV or abs at the bottom, I write down what that is. Do that every workout, bring that book with you. It will help you and it will guide you along the way. Something you can do that I've not mentioned is you can do the same thing for tracking your food as well, actually, because sometimes we don't realise that we're maybe eating too much or too little. So for example, you might have your weight book and you're looking through and you're thinking, why I'm not changing. If you've tracked your food as well, you can then go back and think, well, do you know what? I have been eating biscuits every second day. I've got bread in my diet, maybe adding this bit, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, maybe not been helping me on the way, let's take it out. So doing that with your food's a really good idea as well. And tracking your food's really important. Any of the ladies who work with me, that is something that I'm really big on. I'm really hard on them because your food is where it all starts, guys. So track your progress with regards to your weights. You can track your progress with regards to your food, really important. If you want a bit of an example with that, I could probably do a video at some point if you let me know. Take some progress pictures of yourself. Like I say, do them in your undies, do them in when you go out, when you wear something nice. Do them in your gym gear as well. It's always good to see the difference in yourself within your gym gear. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, take measurements. You want to stand on the scales, that's fine, as long as you've got a good relationship with the scales and you understand the process. But it's, as I say, it's really important because sometimes this happens all the time with ladies I work with, and they'll say, oh, I don't think I'm seeing. Oh, thank you, Carol, no problem. Sometimes women will say, oh, I don't think I'm seeing a change. And I'm like, right, we'll do photos this week. And what I will say, if you're taking photos, make sure you put them side by side, because a great example is one of my ladies, she'd only been coming for 2 weeks, so she was your second set of photos. And she sent me them over and she went, oh, I can't see a difference. And I was like, right, let's get them together. Put them together, and there was a massive difference. And she was like, wow. So take those photos and, you know, and if there's not a change, you got to go back and look at that workout book and think, what have I not been doing properly? What did I need to do more of? Look at that, your diet, look at your nutrition, think what's in there that's stopping me. And if there's a lot of processed foods, if there's a lot of foods that you know you shouldn't be having, you maybe need to start taking them out. And like I say, I track everything because I need to know where I'm going and where I've been to get to a set point. So I've not done any videos, like I say, for a week or so because it's just been so busy. If any of the ladies that work with me, I like to focus on. My groups are super busy at the moment, and I've been talking to a lot of new women. And then at the weekend there, I had my first cheat, which was kind of fun. And I didn't do much over the weekend, so I thought today I'd put a couple of videos up for you. I think I might put a workout video up for you this week as well, so let me know if you want to see some new content on here. Any questions before I go about how best to track your progress, guys? Any questions at all? There's quite a few of you online with me again today, it's great. Any questions, or are we good? Let's wait a second. So hopefully you're all going to go away and do that. If you're already working with me, you'll be doing that anyway, but there might be some extra wee tips there, or just some extra tips that might just make you feel a bit better about the process. Anyway, if you've not trained today, make sure you go train. Have a fabulous day and good luck with your transformations and your gym training, guys. Speak soon.